Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to enter a little bit of a new phase in everyone's training, and
Okay.
we're going to go into a little bit more um, of group presentation mode because when you're working with companies, what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to present what you're working on to co-workers, to management, and sometimes to clients. So you want to get used to doing that. But that's not the only reason why we're going to do it. We're going to also do it because a lot of you are interested in management and leadership. So you need to get used to doing things correctly for that. Who's interested in management and leadership? Raise your hand. You can do it either physically or you have a reaction button at the bottom. Um, and for people who are not on camera, right, we always go on camera during our meetings. Zoom is a visual, right, communications network, and that's what we do. And somebody got a haircut. Okay. And you know who you are. Okay. All right. So, who's interested in management and leadership? Right? Raise your hand. You can put your little hand emoji up. You can raise your hand like this. You can raise two hands if you want, if you're really interested. Okay. But pretty much, or you want me to do individual polling? Yes or no?
Not really.
Tough luck. You're going to do it anyway. Okay. Uh, all righty. Okay, so what we're going to do initially, the first part is what I want you to do is I want you to introduce yourself, right? You know the drill. Say your name, say where you're living, say what you studied in school, and now say a little bit about what you're working on, what you've been working on with us, and you feel, what you think about, right, how the program might have helped you develop so far. Okay, so, and only spend a couple of minutes on this. Okay, if it takes you a minute, fine. If it takes you 30 seconds, not so fine. If it takes you 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, only if you're saying really nice things about a boot, right, then that's okay, right? But yeah, that might be a little too long. Okay, so who would like to start? Raise your hand and let's do it.
Ladies first.
That's we don't have to do we don't have to do it that way. Okay, somebody go ahead.
Okay, I want to start. So my name is Gift Ibrahim from Nigeria, and I school in BM University, Nigeria. And I want to study, or the field I want to study is human resources. And what I've noticed so far about that program is it requires a skill, like it requires a lot of skills because what the program is about is recruiting new people into an organization. And for you to recruit new people, you definitely need to have the skills and all. So that's what I've been working on so far.
Okay, and thank you for sharing and being the first person. And if you're not on camera, right, please go on camera. Okay, who is next?
Can I go next?
Of course.
Yeah. So, hi, I am Mrs. Chandra Sai Puttagunta. I'm right now based out of Texas, United States. and I have a master's degree in data science, and now I'm working as an AI integrated data science intern at One Planet, One People. I've been working on AI automation tools that helps me predominantly on workflows that helps us to make a recurrent process, repetitive process into a simpler structure, and we can save time. So those are the main targets I'm working on right now. And through this program, I haven't been the same person before. I was very timid to talk about something, but now I think I can communicate well, and I've changed my language as well. I
And
think I'm speaking good right now.
yeah, you are. And you did a great job in just being very clear, very succinct about what you're doing, who you are, what you're doing. Okay, great. Okay, next. Well, we got some veterans here. Veterans, speak up.
I'll go next.
Okay.
My name is Abud. I live in Botswana. I have a bachelor's honors degree in statistics from the University of Namibia. And throughout my internship with One Planet, I've done automating, what can I say? Automating. Yes, automating data extraction, basically data science related topics. I'm currently working with developing an app at the moment. So what I've learned is I can do anything using the system, and yeah, no matter how overwhelming it is, it can be done. So that's one of the most important aspects I've learned from this program.
So you've gotten more confident in your abilities.
Yes.
Very good. Okay. Next up.
Hi, Mr. Benjamin.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Moraga, and I currently live in Dallas, Texas, in Sunset High School, and I just study core subjects. So this platform has really helped me communication skills and improve the way I speak.
And Julia is the only member of the team who's not yet in college or grad school or graduated. And she's doing a great job. She is also the only one of the team who has actually started doing outreach and engagement with professionals outside the network. Okay. I mean, some of you have with companies, but you've been pretty much doing it remotely. She's actually on the phone, right, doing it, which is a little different experience. So, right, congratulations to her for doing things that even more experienced and older individuals find to be a little bit difficult in their development. So she's way ahead of a lot of other people in terms of where she's at. So good job, Julia. Okay, who's next? Isaac.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. My name is Isaac. Hello, everyone. My name is Isaac. This is a great opportunity. I'm so happy. Actually, I had my Master's of Business Administration in National Open University in Nigeria. I'm in Nigeria. I work as a business development representative with a tech company. Right now, I'm AI Assisted Business Development Manager as one planet, one people. Presently, we are working on book series, and that has to do with 16 things we all can do to save and then help the right and help a lot of people. So the edition is Entrepreneurship Special Edition. And right now, I build my confidence in terms of generating data that has to do with 32 experts. To be able to get 32 experts, interview them, and look at how they can be able to feature in to know the problems and the solutions of entrepreneurs in their industries. And I was able to work on also on confidence, to be able to summon confidence, be able to interview people, to be able to gather a lot of information that can be of importance, that can help us in terms of research work. Thank you.
And thank you. And we're going to add 2 more words to what you said, and that is, right, it's 16 things we all can do to act right and save, not just save money, but save the planet. Okay, so don't forget to add that in, right, because that's the scope of the work that we do. The work that we do is not just local, not just national, it's global, okay, because the problems of the world that need to be solved are global issues. It's not enough to work locally, because on the local scale, right, your issues are going to be eventually overshadowed by the national and global ones. And that's going to undo everything that you've worked sometimes for years and decades on. So that's why we're global. Okay. So good job. Thank you. Next.
I guess I can go next.
Sure.
Hello, my name is Dion. I am from Prizren, Kosovo. I am currently studying biology and biochemistry at University of Tetova, which is a university in North Macedonia. But currently, I'm an aspiring data analyst, and I want to use this internship opportunity in order to make my skills much greater than they are, and contribute to the world, because volunteer work is a great way of working and networking and doing work for humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And as some of you have heard me talk about, the level of volunteership in the world is not where it needs to be from an accomplishment standpoint. When people are volunteering, what's happening is, right, they're making themselves feel good. They're helping the organization that they're volunteering for, but the work that they're actually doing is not sustainable for people. So the things that people do, cleaning a park, right, serving food at a soup kitchen or a food pantry, doing a walkathon to raise funds for the organization, those are really traditional things that people do when they volunteer. That's not good enough for today's problems and today's world. So we have to change people's mindset. We have to change their behavior. And we have to do it also on an institutional level, so that they're providing more meaningful opportunities for people to have an impact. So that's what we're working on. We have people that couldn't join today's call because they are working, right, because they're traveling. But we have people who are working in churches right now to develop our books, our workshop series, in order to change those types of behaviors, okay, on a volunteer community basis, where I say just, right, 3 minutes ago, it's we have to do things more than local. okay, but also, right, the local component is important, provided that people are working towards the right things. Okay, so very good. Let's see, I believe Elnara, you might be next.
Yes, okay. My name is Elnara. I am from Azerbaijan, but right now I am in United Kingdom. I'm taking master's degree of architecture, and I want to be an architect. Right now I am taking internship as a graphic designer and 3D modeler, and I think I am learning a lot of things, not only from graphic design part, but also uh, from communication perspective. Uh, I am leaving my comfort zone, which also challenges me a lot, and I think that's very important for my future as well. And I also love the fact that this organization does something important for the world, so it's not just uh, experience. Yeah, that's all I can say right here.
Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, so what we see here is that we have a very diverse group of people from different parts of the world, and they're working on different projects, but there are some common threads in terms of what you're learning. Okay, so I know a lot of you didn't talk about project management, and I don't believe Karthik went ahead and spoke yet. So I think he was thinking, oh, I got away with it, right? But right, when I'm done, let's hear from Karthik, right? And then we can go on to the next thing that we're going to talk about. But the thing is that, you know, the fundamentals are that, yes, right, you've got to learn the essential 8: communication, business marketing management, office tech, research, problem solving, and time management. So no matter what you're working on, right, you'll be able to go ahead and achieve your objectives more effectively. That's what that's all about. And it's using the skills collaboratively, as opposed to how you've learned and been trained in school, which is you go to classes and everything's independent of each other. Okay. And as you all are working, you're working on real world projects. You're not doing things just for exercises, right? Just to go ahead and turn them in, get a grade and a few comments, right? You know, because you've experienced it, that the real learning takes place from you presenting your work and then getting professional feedback on it. And then what do you have to do? Research and revise, right? Revise, revise, revise in order to get it to the level that we require to actually use it in the real world. Okay, so it's fundamentally different than what you've done in school. Okay, but the results are also very different for your development because of that. Okay, so the Pomodoro system also will give you the ability to go into new areas without the years of so-called training that you get in school, and then really still be very effective in those fields. What you should understand now is that the world is changing very fast because of what's going on with AI. And there are complete industries that are going to get wiped out of existence with human, let's say, involvement, because AI can do it faster, better, as long as we can go ahead and stop AI from fabricating information, right? Which we're working on. Okay. So the thing is that the job that you were trained in school, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, right, might not be the job that's available in the future. Okay. In the past, I've worked with people, even programmers who were from IBM. Okay, International Business Machines, one of the largest companies in the world, one of the most powerful and influential companies in the world that predated companies like Microsoft and Apple and things like this. And they had a slogan, which was IBM for life. And what it meant is if you were hired by IBM out of college, you would have a job until you died. And that was true for decades until one day it wasn't. And one of the people who I ended up working with, not in the programming field, but was in the financial services field, was one of the people who thought that he had a position for life when he was hired and worked for IBM and worked for them for decades. And one day he was called into his manager's office, and the manager said, right, you need to go and get your resume revised because, right, IBM, right, is going to shut down your entire department. And this person supervised 144 programmers. Okay. And the guy went home and cried because the world was no longer what he thought it was. And because of that, he took a part-time job in financial services and then worked his way up to senior management, working for a fairly large financial services company. And instead of, right, he took a different position with IBM. He lost his department, okay, but he didn't take the severance package until he was ready to retire, just so that he can have some additional benefits. But when they offered him the severance package a little bit later, right, he declined to take it because he was in financial services and he was making even more money part-time than he was with IBM. So the severance package became not so meaningful for him because he was able to adjust, change his behavior, learn in a new industry, and be successful again. So when you say that you might not be interested in management now, and you might be content to be just a worker, well, being a worker may not get you to where you want to be in life. Okay? Being management may give you the flexibility that you need to go into different areas in order to be successful. And when he was with IBM, he was one of their best programmers. But what he saw was, I'm not getting promoted past a certain point. So 10 years into his career in IBM, he went to management and said, what's going on? Why aren't I getting promoted? And they said, you don't have management skills. And he said, well, what do I do to get them? And they said, go back to school while you're working. So he went back to school and he got a master's, right, in management. And then, right, he ended up getting promoted. And then 10 years later, right, he had been running a department with 144 programmers. And then his position got terminated. Okay. So the thing is, right, the way that I built our systems, right, for educational purposes is to give you a much larger skill set than you've been trained in so that you can adapt to what is going to go on in your life. Because you have no idea what's going to go on in your life. And if all you can handle is what you've been trained in school, you may not have the life that you want. Okay? So there's a lot of reform that needs to go on in the educational system, from school and even from your work and businesses. And the thing is that unlike other NPOs or NGOs that have one program to go ahead and help people, we have over 40 plus programs that go into different areas because that's what it's going to take to push back on the problems in the world and also to meet the new realities of what's going to come down the pike, so to speak, the path, so to speak, that we have to go ahead and deal with. And one of the next phases that we're going to get into is people who want to learn management specifically and how to go ahead and form teams, right? Empower teams to accomplish goals. They're going to have the opportunity to learn how to do that. And then also go into our Train the Trainer program, where you can teach other people what you're learning yourself by following the systems that we have. Because our goal is to have our programs established in your country, helping lots of people. And we're going to need people who are trained to do that, who are on the ground, so that we can actually help the thousands, tens of thousands of people. Not everything will be done from the United States outward. Okay. So you have multiple ways to go ahead and have that impact. And one of the things that I'm going to go into in just a little bit is a new way I just developed actually, I'd say probably about 30 hours ago, for us to go ahead and do that outreach engagement and to have that impact with people around the world. And you will have or be given the opportunity to participate on a different level, a more advanced level, in conjunction with that program. And it doesn't matter where you are in your development. What matters is, anyone know? Anyone think of it? That you have the 5 characteristics for being successful in our program. And what are those characteristics? Desire, determination, willingness to learn, willingness to take action on what you learn, and you put in the time and the effort, the commitment to be successful. If you have and you display those characteristics and you're using the right system, you can accomplish a tremendous amount, much more than you ever thought possible while working a job. And everyone is here on this right platform and call has said, yes, I have those characteristics. Even if you're developing them and they're in early stage. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so I promised Karthik the stage, and I haven't forgotten.
Hi, my name is Karthik. Currently, I live in Tampa, Florida. I recently completed my master's in computer science from University of South Florida. So I'm aspiring to be a software developer. So you, currently, I'm working as a software intern volunteership in One Planet, One People. So I want to use this opportunity to improve my skills and expertise to contribute to the people, and so I can learn new things. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, very good. And let's see. So what I want to do before we get into the other aspect of what I'm going to teach, what I'm going to talk about is some of you are working on things. Actually, most of you are. If you'd like to present what you've been working on, okay, and you don't have to do it from the beginning of what you've been working on. You can just, as you normally do with me individually, share your screen and say, hey, this is the latest of what I've been doing, and explain what you're doing. And you, depending on what time we have and whatever, I might go into some feedback right now, okay? Or we'll go ahead and meet more individually as we do. But what we're going to also do is to go from some of the individual meetings that we have been doing and having more group meetings, even though the group might not be in your exact field. Whenever I go ahead and give feedback on what you're working on, the benefits are not limited to you. The benefits can be acquired by anyone who's listening to the information, because the things generally apply as well to something that you may be working on in the future, whether you know it or not. Okay. And actually, the real goal of your education is not that you can follow a template in order to be successful, but that when you're given, let's say, a project to work on, when you're given tasks to do, you can go ahead and follow the procedures that you need to do and apply them to non-analogous situations. In other words, things that are not something that you've been trained on. But by applying the steps, the process to what you're working on, you can have a better outcome. When you can do that, you've really learned it, you've internalized it. Because the difference between what we're doing and what you did in school, besides real world application and X, Y, and Z, is that you're actually producing things that are viable and valuable, not just to yourself by getting a grade and a few comments, but to other people. Okay. So that's the goal for what you're working on. It might not be the objective on the specific thing that you're doing, okay, but that's really the ultimate goal. Okay, so everyone clear about what I've been talking about? Okay, and you know how we work, what we do, what your role is. Okay. Anyone have any final thoughts, questions, comments before we go on to the next segment? Everybody good? If you're good, say, I'm good.
I'm good.
We got one person who's good. And we're losing cameras left and right. Isaac is good. Okay.
I'm good.
Abud is good. Karthik is good. Right. Julia is
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good too.
okay. So I think everybody's good. Gift, are you good?
I'm good.
Okay. And I'm Groot. I am Groot. No, okay, I'm not Groot, but it sounded like it. Okay, good. So the next step is anyone care to share what they've been working on? Now you're in a group meeting, right, with your coworkers, and you've got to go ahead and share. So this is where you get used to talking, right, about your work. Okay. And doing it succinctly, concisely, right, to the point, sharing on screen if you need to. Okay. So who'd like to go? Okay.
I can go first.
Okay, fine. Yasis, go ahead. Alice, can I get a drink, please? Go ahead, Yasis. You're up. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Hi, as I've introduced myself, I am working with AI tools for automation. So I'm typically in the research phase now. I'm looking at different agents, what an agent can perform better. And if you want a specific task to be done and how do we do it, which agent can we use it? So I'm forming the database for it right now. So I've been working on multiple stages. So the first phase we describe what an agent can do and how they can do it best by ranking them different agent systems. And then we came to the prominent two AI tools that are existing in the industry and we ranked them. Mr. Wing, can I go over the past work or just something I'm working right now?
Yeah, you can go over the past work. Okay, but what you see here is that look at his spreadsheet. There should be key things that you see without even going into the data, right, that you already should be familiar with based upon the work that you're doing. Okay, so I'm not going to go through these every single time that we do them, but we have rules, procedures that we follow when we're doing database management. Okay. And it's very important that you know what those rules are and you follow those rules. Now, right, Yasis has done a good job with that. Okay. The only thing that he would need to adjust in here is if he's doing, you know, something that has numbers that have to be absorbed by someone and we're doing comparisons between different programs, you would want those numbers to stand out, right, in separate columns so that you can make very quick evaluations of that information. So that's a modification that you'll have to go ahead and do, Yasis. Okay. If you'd like to show something else, by all means.
Yeah. Uh, so
Oh, that was
right now,
that was a good one. Go back to the objective in the prompt. Okay, because in the Pomodoro system, what do we always start with? Everyone should be calling this out and yelling, ooh, 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 I know, I know. Right? We start with what? Oh, don't make me cry. Come on, somebody say it. What's the first component in the Pomodoro system?
Objectives.
Thank you. Okay. We start with the objective. Okay. And the thing is that the objective has to be written specifically enough so that you know how to share that when someone says, what are you working on? Right? Use cases and explanation. So you need to flesh that out more. Okay. And then based on that, you need to write your prompt tremendously specifically. And there's 4 different elements that go into effective prompt writing. Okay. I'm not going to go into that right now. Right. These are all lessons that you all are learning as you go through. Okay. And then what you do is you take your objective, you take your prompt, and you run that through AI, and hopefully the right AI, right, Yasis? Okay, that can go ahead and give you a better optimized prompt in order to go ahead and get the information that you need to move on with your work. Okay, so you know, you need to develop your objective a little bit more, right? Your prompt might be very good. Your optimized prompt might be great. And then you also have to go ahead and, okay, so let's see. Okay, anything that you want to go ahead and add about this, that you want to say about this?
so I just wanted to give a context on what this sheet is about. The sheet is to extract users from different AI chatbots that we're predominantly using right now. OpenAI, Perplexity, Cloud AI, Google Gemini, DeepSeek, anything you're using. So these prompts are what helped me devise this list, essentially. The top 50 list through which I was able to understand what use cases people are using a tool for the most, and I was able to formulate a composite ranking out of it.
So does everyone sort of understand that? Okay, what we're doing? You want to say it again, or you want me to go ahead and say it?
No, I can say it.
Go ahead.
So the essential idea behind this spreadsheet is we want to people to be able to understand or recognize what tool does the task they are looking for the best. So if a person is looking for, let's say, for sales support, he wants to establish sales support. So we can give them how good a tool, AI tool, can perform, and we can rank them based on it. So when you're looking for a specific task, you don't want to be confused about which AI I'm working on and going through all of them to get a search for optimized result. So we want to make people be able to find the optimized result by doing it in a single AI, which
And
we can provide as an.
And how are we going to go ahead and do that?
We're gonna we can consider this as a knowledge base for an app we are trying to build. So or a user web application or a mobile application. So where people can look up for AI tools, or they can come up with their concise mind. Like if he says he wants to use 3 tools for this task, And is it okay to use the three tools, or do we have any suggestions? So it's like communicating to an expert or in a healthcare when you want to know you have free medicines, but you want to know which works the best for you. There are multiple medicines for headache, so you want to consult a doctor. How do you do this? So similarly, if you want to work with different AIs, you want to use this tool to understand which AI suits you better, suits your context better. So a same task can be done from a research perspective or a development perspective. So is the AI tool more closer to a research analysis or for development? So that way it can adapt.
Good. Very good. Okay. And one thing I want to go ahead and change in how you said it. Everything sounded really good. We're not trying to develop, right, the app. We are working on developing the app. So here we don't try to do things, we do them. Okay. And so it's just a minor thing, but right, it's the difference between professional levels. Okay. So can everyone see the utility of having something like this? There's so many different AIs that are coming out, on a daily, weekly basis. How are you going to know which tool to use that's going to give you the best result? So you'll be able to plug in those tools, right? And then say, this is what I'm interested in having it accomplish. And it will tell you what its effectiveness is. And the thing is that it will actually change what it's telling you based upon, right, advances and changes in the AIs itself, because the AIs are learning themselves how to do things differently, and the programmers behind the AIs are constantly updating what its capacity and capabilities are. So something that wasn't good today, all of a sudden tomorrow is the leader of the pack. Okay. And that might be very important. Okay, to you accomplishing what you need to accomplish. Okay, good job, Yasis. Okay, good job. Okay, who would like to go next? And you don't all have to present now. Don't worry about that. Okay. I might call on somebody. Let's do something different, right? Elnara? Right?
Yes.
Architects should love to present their work.
Yes, true. Okay, I can present it now.
And they're the ones who are doing with, right, the most data, the largest files also. So it takes the longest to go ahead and load.
So we are working on pop shells, and this is the front view.
Okay, but what you would want to do, since they're not familiar with what you're working on, you have to give them, right, some context to it, and then explain what this actually is, because they might not have ever thought about this before, about what the product, not just the product that we're introducing, but the product that you're developing. So they might be completely unfamiliar with it. So you got to give some context.
So products we are developing are matryoshkas, Russian nesting dolls, and for those who don't know, it's a doll which has 5 or 6 smaller dolls inside of it. And the concept of it is Trump and other people around him. And now this is the pop shelf, which will be in stores. And now you can only see Trump dolls, but there are going to be a lot other more. And I even put names of them on the shelves.
Okay, now what is the structure where these are housed? What is that called?
Pop
Yeah,
shelves.
POP stands for point of purchase.
Yes, point of purchase.
So this is a point of purchase display that would go into, let's say, retail stores where people would see it and say, oh, that's hopefully interesting. I want to go ahead and pull one off the shelf and take it home and unpack it. And then I want to invite Trump and Elon Musk over to dinner with me. And they set them on the table, and while they eat, and then they make a little video about it, and then they post the video, and it goes viral all over the world. Or they take Trump to the movies, or they take him swimming, and he can't sink. This is made out of wood. Okay. And they put him in different scenarios, and they make little films, right? Little videos about it, or they do some type of graphic design with it. And then we have monthly contests, right? Between what people are doing with these all over the world. And the idea is not to go ahead and increase the divide between people, but actually use them through humor, okay, to bring people together. And the proceeds from the sale of the products go to support our One Planet, One People programs and initiatives. Okay. And what Elnara is doing graphically is actually the design of what we call the Trump Tower, which is going to house the dolls on display. And it's how tall, gives them dimensions, Elnara, so that they can understand the scope of this. Because right now it's only like, 8 inches tall on their computer screen.
So it's 120 inches.
Feet, centimeters, what?
Inches.
So it's 10 feet tall.
It's 10 feet tall, yes.
Okay. So that's going to be an impressive structure when you go see it in the store. And this is let's say, the front side. So what are some of the things that we developed for this? You see, you want to describe it, but you might also want to go through and say, we did this in 3 stages. It depends on how technical you want to get when you're sharing, but you want to give people an idea of what you actually did.
Mm-hmm. So tower consists of 3 main parts. First is ground floor, where you can see the entrance of Trump Tower, and the middle part, the main one, where our shelf's gonna be and where people gonna take the dolls, and the upper part where there is a banner, and we made it look like banner is hanging from the building.
So the first part is called the base, right? Then
base.
you have right the middle insert, and then you have the top of the tower, right?
Yes.
Which has the display banner, so that when people come up to the tower, they get the information that they need, right, to help them make a decision on whether they want to purchase or support. And this is one side of the tower. So you want to show the other side?
Sure. And this is the other side of the tower. And here we have a longer banner, which is also hanging from the top part. So when people walk from side, they can see and get information they need.
Okay. And this is not yet done because you have to still replace some of the images.
Yes.
Okay. And there's another feature that I just added. Anyone, right? You're working on this. Anyone might know what that is? Oh, okay.
Interactive.
The interactive element. So you want to explain that?
So the idea is to put not how is it called?
Okay. It's more than a concept. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a embedded chip in the tower, so that when people go ahead and, let's say, push a particular area like a doorbell, it's going to go ahead and say something. And what we're going to do is we're going to embed the chip where Trump is inside the base. You see that little window in the top right above the name Trump Tower? Right there, that's actually Trump, and he's on all four sides of the building, but we're going to embed it on the opening side where the Matryoshka dolls are visible. And it's like an Easter egg, right, in a software program. If you know about it, right, you go, you see it, you can push that area, and Trump will actually say something to you. And we're going to program this with probably a half a dozen different sayings, so that if you got three people who are standing in front of the tower, each one pushes it, they'll get a different message. Okay. And additional things that I added, go back to the front view, please, is that we're going to have the same front view and the back view on the tower. So people can approach the tower from either direction to go ahead and see the product. Okay. And the sides will act as advertisements, right, for the program and the product. And there's a lot more technical aspects to it, but Inara has done a great job on the design elements. And there's a lot of work that you don't notice in getting it this far, right? But we know what we've done, where we came from, how it's progressed, okay? And that's what you're supposed, that's the way it's supposed to be. Okay. And there's other projects.
I can also,
go ahead.
Sorry. I can also show the other matryoshkas that I developed today.
Sure. Go ahead.
With AI. So there were some versions, but I kept the ones that I liked the most. So this is Mark. And also this one.
That's Jeff
I
Bezos.
have some, yes,
Mhm.
some people. And
They look like they have very colorful pajamas. Okay, so what we're doing, and what's really the slogan for the dolls? Do you remember what that is? They're
the
Russian.
slope,
They're Russian nesting dolls
yes,
made in China with
with
American
American agency.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's a whole thing in the United States about Trump being a Russian agent. So it's only appropriate that we're doing Russian nesting dolls. Okay. But his whole thing is we don't get things made in China, we need them American made. Meanwhile, everyone in the United States knows that all his products, from his hat to his sneakers to his Bible, are all made in China. So he says one thing and does another. Okay. That looks really great. Okay. And if he comes to an interview wearing a hoodie, we'll never go ahead and hire him. Okay. And so there's a lot of humor that goes into the dolls, and there's a lot of thought that goes into, right? When I created the doll sets, who goes into the doll sets and why. And there's also unique characteristics that we're doing. So there are some dolls that are going to be double-sided dolls, where we'll have normally what's on the back of the doll is just the back of the graphic. We're not going to do it that way with a lot of the dolls. We'll have another face. So the women of Trump, you'll have someone who supports him, like like one of his press secretaries, and then you'll have someone who sued him on the other side, who's in the same time frame as that person. With his businesses, there's a whole set of dolls that have to do with his successful businesses, but on the other side are the ones that went bankrupt or the ones got sued out of existence. So that way, right, if you're a supporter, right, well, then you go ahead and you utilize the dolls where you can make them into a positive spin on what you're creating or sharing with other people. And if you think that Trump needs to do a little bit better, right, for the American people, right, and the world, not just better for himself and his family, well, you might make up some content dealing with the other side. Okay. So it's got things for both sides. And, great job with this. You may have to remove some of when we actually are putting them into the banners and whatnot, we'll have to use background remover so that we get cleaner images to move forward. But keep going with that. You're on the right track. The thing is that on the back side of these things, we'll put it won't just be, let's say, the clothing or whatever. We'll go ahead and put something that they're famous for, and we'll put that on the clothing. Okay, so if you have any type of clothing company, you put your product logo on there. Okay, so we're going to make that more of like a bullseye on the back of the clothing. Okay, cool. Okay, so great job. And there's not only that, Elnara is working on things in the product development, design for things that we're doing in the healthcare industry as well. And you'll be able to see some of these things later as we move forward. Okay. But, you know, she's going to end up having a very impressive building that she worked on and helped bring to life. And, you know, years ago, I did a best-selling board game that was in stores. So my older brother, went to one of the stores and he was looking at a big display case with my games in it. And there was a woman who was there looking at the games also. And he said, my brother did that game. And she looked at him and was like, yeah, right. Trying to go ahead. You know, she thought he was a creep, right? Trying to go ahead and pick her up in a game store, right? But actually, he's not a creep. Okay, he's not a creep. And, right, he wasn't trying to pick her up. Okay. So, you know, you might be working on things of books, right? Games, products, whatever, things that are integrated into what we're doing. And it's really kind of cool if you can go into places and actually see where those things have been, you know, produced and on display. And if you're doing a book or doing software, right, your name will actually go into the book, into the credits in the software as well. And you probably don't know it, but I also have an architecture company. Okay, and I'm the CEO of that company. It's called Threshold Architects and Sustainability Partners. And if you went into some of the websites that are listed in the email that you might have gotten originally, you'll see a link to that. And one of the things that we're working on developing are what we call sustainable development cities, communities. Okay, so I'll be going to Asia later on this summer to see sites of possible development for those communities. And they're 300-acre communities with 16 different types of facilities in the community, including, right, housing, conference center, resort, sports complex, business incubator for companies in the country who work on sustainable programs, the Benjamin Da Vinci Institute, which is our educational arm, and people who go to the community for just a day can actually put their kids in development in the Benjamin Da Vinci Institute, where they can be working on projects. Or if they go for 2 weeks, or if they actually own a villa, they can go ahead and attend. And it's open for the public as well in the country to go ahead and get training, advancement in their career. The communities will employ over 3,000 people. And there's agricultural, wildlife, fisheries also that do cutting edge development for that region. Okay, because what works, right, in Asia may not work in Africa. What works in Africa may not work in South America. So we adapt what we're doing to, right, the communities in which we serve. Okay, so there's a lot more going on than what you might expect and what you might think. Okay, and the more you get into what we're, you know, the different aspects, the more opportunities you'll understand that you might have through the organization. Okay. So who would like to go next? And we'll do 1 or 2 more, and then we'll switch over to the third phase of what I'm going to talk about today. and it will not be that long a talk. I'm going to give you the framework of it. Anyone else care to share today? Everybody good for now? Because at the next time we have a group meeting, we're going to have meetings like this once a week, okay, where you'll be able to present, share, right? But I'll be doing more feedback on what you're presenting during those times, just like I do with you individually. Okay, so we'll have more group meetings where you can learn by listening to others get, right, professional feedback on what they're working on and presenting. Okay, so everybody good for now? We're not going to go ahead and go into anything else. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is something I mentioned earlier. And that is what we're going to do is we're going to start a volunteer and internship competition that's global, where the prize money for being successful in the competition can be up to 10,000 US dollars, depending on what you're working on, how quickly you do it, and the level of your success. And you're going to be doing this in teams. Now, the thing is that with everything that we do, it's never just what you go ahead and see as the end result. So in other words, the end result of doing the Trump Matryoshka doll is to get the dolls in the hands of people who can use it as helping them with content creation to share that virally, globally, in order to get people talking and really break down the barriers, not enforce them. But in order to do that product, there's literally a half a dozen other products that we've got to create as supportive in order to make it happen. And with each area that we do, there's a lot of different industries that come to bear on making it viable. Okay, so in the projects that are going to be available for this competition, you're going to need a lot of other teammates with other skill sets that are different from yours. And you're going to have to learn how to work collaboratively with them. And you're going to have to use our systems in order to effectively manage and scale what you're doing. The Pomoro system, the Essential 8. Okay. Now, what I'm going to make available to you all probably is the ability to be embedded into other people's teams as a facilitator. And as a facilitator, you'll do a little bit more on the guidance, but also, right, when that team is successful, you'll have a way of sharing in their success, not just what's going to be on your CV, but also monetarily. And Dion, one of the things that we don't do in the organization is we don't put our hands on our face when we're in meetings. even if we're tired, because it's a level of, professionalism. You're going to be in meetings with not just coworkers, right, but management, clients, right, possibly high-powered featured experts or people, right, who are worth, right, millions of dollars, right, who control networks with thousands or tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And we don't want to have that image, right, for our organization or for our management people or our workers. So it goes from the top down, bottom up, right? We just go ahead and do things, right, the right way. In terms of how you're positioned in Zoom, if, right, you're positioned in a good way, I need to be a little bit higher so your chin isn't cut off, right? A little bit further back, that's fine, right? A gift, you're too far away, you're not framed properly. But these are the things that we'll work on. Karthik, you know what you got to do, right? Julia, you're a little bit too low, right? So the thing is that we want to go ahead, and when you start to do the things that you're doing, it's automatic. Okay, just like when you set up your spreadsheets. Once you know what the rules are, you set it up that way from the beginning, and then you never have to worry about going on screen, showing your work to a manager or client, and then you realize, oh crap, right? I didn't do this. And now it's kind of too late to do it in the middle of a meeting. And I sure hope they don't notice. That's not a good thing. Okay. So, okay. So with these competitions, there's a lot that goes into the setup of the competition, but also people around the world will be able to get to choose which program they want to do. And it doesn't matter if they're a data analyst, they might be working on a book program. They could be a graphic designer and working on a product development program. But the people that they're going to bring into their team are going to go ahead and fulfill different and multiple roles in the team. And there's a whole preset of things that go into what, how the teams are governed, what their duties, responsibilities are, how they're going to go ahead and do and show their work. And it's not just a question of producing something. That's not enough. That's like going to school and getting your diploma. What have you done with it? What impact do you have? So the thing is that they'll have to go ahead and do 2 additional phases. One is they're going to have to get sponsorship for their project. And there's multiple ways that can happen. And then they're going to have to put the product out in the real world, so it's utilized. So the 2 halves of this are they're developing something that's qualitative and then also quantitative in terms of how it's utilized. So you're going to get to see that the team that you're working with, the team that you're helping grow and manage and nurture and be successful, how successful are they going to be? Okay. So there's different milestones that you want to achieve. And depending on how quickly you do and how successful you are, that determines where you're going to fall on the compensation level. So this is the new framework for how we're going to go ahead and expand our programs globally. So some people are interested in HR development. Okay. They'll be working on getting this integrated with universities, not only in the United States, but around the world. Okay. So it's really a cool addition to our developmental programs. Okay. Making it competitive. Okay. But also how to increase its utility. And the thing is that you're competitive not with other teams. You're competitive with your own team in terms of what you're capable of doing. This isn't a reward system where only one team gets it because they were the first to market. That's not what I'm doing. The way I designed it is every single team can go ahead and be successful. The question is, how successful do you want your team to be? And that's determined by how quickly and well you do your work and the impact it can have. Now, I realize that I've just done this verbally for you, but I hope that you have an understanding of it. Okay. Some of you will be working with the materials that I develop on it. Okay. And then all of you will have the opportunity to put it into place. And the way that we're doing this is that people will have to sign up for the program specifically. Signups will begin May 1st. Teams will begin operation June 1st. And on the 1st and 15th of every month, new teams can launch. And they have their own built-in time frame. So in other words, it doesn't matter whether when you come in, it matters what you do moving forward. Okay. But there's mechanisms to go ahead. You know, one of the things is that when you do contests normally, or when you do programs, there's a start date and an end date. Okay, if we're doing grant work, okay, and one of the people who's working on grants right now, it's not here. There are specific deadlines. They have an application period, then a deadline for you to submit. And then they have different milestones as well. Here, we're having, I'm not going to say a rotating, but, hopefully it'll be a, program that will be available 365 days a year round for sign up. Okay. So anyone who's coming in, whether it's this summer, the fall, right, whatever, will have opportunities to participate equally. So you're not in competition with other teams, you're in competition with yourselves for producing. And that doesn't mean that you're in direct competition with your teammates. It's you're in competition for achieving the milestones. A game that I developed that I was working on before COVID hit is called One Planet, One People. And just like the other things that I worked to accomplish, is that it's a very unique game in that everyone who plays the game in the real world is on the same team. So you're not competing with your teammates, you've got to collaborate in order to prevent the factions in the world from going ahead and accomplishing their goals to the detriment of the planet. So you've got the tech faction, which predated what we're going through with AI right now. You've got the pro-earthers, you've got all these different factions that are in the game, even though they're not live players. Because sometimes you never see who's working against you. Okay. And the goal is to really push back on these things, and there's a complete time frame in the game. Every turn that is accomplished in the game between the different players, one rotation equals 6 months. So you've got 20 complete turns in the game in order to save the world. And that represents a 10-year period. Okay. So the thing is, in order for me to construct games, which I've been invited by Hasbro, which is one of the largest game makers in the world, to go ahead and present games that I developed to their company at their company headquarters, which I did, even though I knew, and we'd had a discussion about it, they don't accept games from outside developers. They only accept games that they developed internally. So I asked them, why do you want to invite me? And they said, we've seen some of the work that you've done. We're impressed by it, and we just wanted to meet you and say hi. So all my friends are like, aren't you worried Hasbro's going to steal your games? Like, nah, I'm not really worried about Hasbro stealing my games. Okay. But I did go, and it was a good experience. I've been invited by a billion-dollar company to develop games in China. And I went to China and, discussed that with them. They were impressed. They wanted to bring me on board to go ahead and head up that. And then they told me that they wanted me to move to China for 2 years. And I said, ooh, that was never part of the discussion. No, I'm not going to do that. And it's not because I don't like Chinese food. It's because I have my nonprofit that I'm working on, and I wasn't willing to give that up. So the thing is that I utilize the systems that you're learning to do in the things that I do, just like you. I research the heck out of what I want to do. I might not always accept the research. As some of you know, I get into arguments with GPTs all the time about what they're presenting, because I can analyze what they're doing at a very high level. So I don't always accept it. Often don't accept it. But the thing is that you will be very successful if you follow and if you have those 5 characteristics that we talked about from the time that you first came in and applied to the organization. So I hope from this context, from this conversation, you can see a little bit more about the path that you can go on, about the opportunities that you'll have with the organization. Okay. And the main thing is learn, grow, don't be afraid to go ahead and get that constructive feedback that you need to grow. But always remember to take good notes. Okay. So as we get closer to May 1st, June 1st, and roll these things out, you'll learn more about it and learn more about the roles that you can play. It's not mandatory that you do this. It's optional. but it's a fantastic opportunity for you all. Okay. All right. Any questions about anything that we've gone over? Any comments? Any statements? No? Everybody good? Isaac?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for this wonderful session. I think it's a good one. And you talked about the new framework that we're going to use concerning having a team, and we're going to manage the team individually. As many of us here that will be managing a team based on our area of assignment. One question I want to ask, the first question has to go with the volunteers and interns that we're going to manage. Are they still going to come through the same process that will come in? Meaning those people that are applying, so we are going to share them among ourselves to be able to manage the team, or we have to recruit them individually? That's one of the questions. Okay. Then okay.
I mean,
Okay,
I'll
guys.
just answer one by one.
Okay.
You don't have to recruit people into the program yourself. Okay. Now, if you want to build a team yourself
Good.
to enter the competition, you can do that. You can have more than one team. You can enter it twice. That's not a problem. Okay. But if you're going to have the opportunity to manage a team, we'll go ahead and give you the team members that you'll manage. And the thing is that this is open to volunteers and also interns. They'll have to use the same structures. So with the volunteers, they're going to have to learn the Pomoro system. They're going to have to learn the Essential 8 as it applies to the work that they do. And they'll have to follow the same path because we want consistency within the organization. They just might not put in the same number of hours and the same type of schedule as an intern puts in. And also, I probably won't work with the volunteers as in-depth as I do with the interns. Okay, that's one thing. So that's the differentiation of it. And there will be, for the teams or the individuals and the individuals that come in under this program, whether they're volunteers or interns, there will be an application, sign up, materials, one-time fee for participating. Just like when you go to school, okay, there's usually an application fee for you attending the school. At least in the United States, there is for every school that you attend. So we'll have something like that. There won't be a training fee. So unlike schools which are charging for the credits, right, and charging you for your diploma, we won't have that. If people are from economic circumstance where they can't afford the application fee, they'll have an opportunity to get a grant or scholarship, provided they do X, Y, and Z. Okay, so we won't deny people the opportunity to participate. Okay, but we want people who are serious about participating. And if we do everything for free, then we'll get people in who aren't serious about it. And that's not good for our time, the team's time, and everything else. So we want everyone to be on an equal playing field for this. Okay. Okay, you had another question. Isaac, did you have another follow-up question? Oh, yes, maybe.
I think I believe anyone among us can also have a question. Let's ask question. Let's ask question, everyone, so that we can be able to have a clear picture of what we are going into.
Well, there'll be more clarification later as I design the materials for it.
Okay.
But if you do have a question, by all means, this is your opportunity. Doesn't have to be about the program that I just introduced to you. It could be about any
Yes.
aspect of what we did. Okay, so everybody good for now? Yes, and you all know what you're working on. Some of you I still have to meet with today. So if you need a time, right, to meet today, just text me. I'll be available from 2 o'clock on Eastern time. Okay. And then we'll be able to go over what you want to talk about and what you want to show. Okay. So thank you for attendance today. I sure hope I recorded this, which I did, good, for the people who aren't here so they can get the recording. And let's go and let's have success with what we're working on. And let's blow it up bigger and bigger around the world. Okay, this is the year that we're launching. Okay, initiatives that we developed that got sidelined by COVID, that got sidelined by my COVID. So regardless of all of that, right, we're moving forward because that's what we got to do. Okay, we are on a mission. We have a vision. Okay, and we're going to make it happen. And you're going to be an important part of that. Okay, so we end our meetings with a wave, right, and a smile. And if you don't believe me, right, go on the website plannedacts.org and look up, right, the Smile and Wave program, because it's there. And it's a goal that we have, right, for our people all over the world when they go into their companies, when they go into their faith-based, right, that they end the meetings with these things to show appreciation, but also to leave people with a good feeling about what just transpired. Because if you leave this meeting and you're happy and you're energized and you're smiling, the next person you meet may go ahead and have that bestowed on them, and it might transform their day. Okay, so there's a lot of meetings that you're going to have in your lifetime, and you don't want to be, right, going out of those meetings and transferring that energy if it's not positive. So we aim to do things that are groundbreaking, transformative, and be positive influences in the world. So until you smile, you ain't leaving this meeting. Ah. Isaac, you're the first one out. Dion, you're next. Anara, you can leave. If I'm not sure, there's a little smile there. Julia, smile more, right? Jasis, you're out of here. Karthik, yeah. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you all later. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.